Yeah, knocks off you quick. What's that? Not sure, but
introduce our first speaker for the day.
Right, first I'm going to thank you all for coming, and thank you for waiting for me, and I hope you managed to sit through what I'm about to say. And thank you for putting the vodka in this, whoever did it. Okay, right, today we're going to be talking, my talk is on angels and demons and the relevance to our society, whether or not they're allegorical fables, whether or not they're interdimensional beings from other dimensions, or whether or not they are considered extraterrestrial, supernatural, or are they natural beings? So that's a lot to get round. So if we could just start the slideshow. One thing I would ask you all is, one thing is that if we disagree on a subject with this talk, if there's certain things we disagree on, then I'm quite willing to debate this afterwards. But one thing I would like to say is we don't shoot the messenger. Now this is what Plato said of Socrates, who was killed by hemlock. No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth. Plato said that. Now why did Plato say that? Because he was murdered by Socrates for actually going up against the environment, what the people were thinking of at the time. So if my conversation is a little bit disturbing to you, I apologise. But don't come to me afterwards with a drink of hemlock, because I won't be drinking it. Okay, can we just pause? Absolutely. So, so what are angels? In the Hebrew Testament, the word angel means malachim. Malachim is messenger. In the Hebrew text, it's messenger. Now, John Lennon said of things, and he was quite right really, he's always telling us to be open-minded. I believe in everything until it's disproved. So he believes in fairies, myths, dragons. It all exists for him. And why? Because he was open-minded, he was highly creative, a highly creative individual. So he had a broad spectrum on things. And we've got to look at our reality. What is reality? What is the broad concept of reality? From a broad perspective, reality is everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will be. And everybody's reality is different. So my belief in angels may be different to your belief in angels or demons. Consequently, we'll look at the psychology of this as well. Moving forward. Now, a lot of people get comfort from these entities, these beings. So if you go to any graveyard, any cemetery, you'll find statues of angels. Why? Because they're comforting. They are in our cultural history. Within our culture, these are comforting beings for us. So we employ them regularly to sustain our spirit, to sustain our soul, to keep us calm. They have a calming influence. Again, in the Hebrew context, they are malachim, messengers of good. Now, you have all these concepts that, right, an angel is good. How can we tell it's good? Because an angel, throughout history, they're always trying to bring you things. They're trying to help you grow. Demons, on the opposite side, are taking all the time. It's a complete difference between being selfless and selfish. You see, the demon is a selfish, abstract notion. Perhaps it's psychological. You see, we have a psychological concept here between what are angels and demons. Or, here we have another angel. Notice there is a pentagram above the star is actually a pentagram. So that is quite usually the philosophy and history with all these symbolisms that we get. And what else are angels? Historically, there was, at the very beginning, there was meant to be a war in heaven. We're told that there is a war in heaven, a war between good and evil. Now, is this a personal war within the individual? Because how many people do you know have their own personal demons? So is it allegorical? Or, again, is it because these are written down, the concepts are there, we hear of them quite regularly? Do people actually meet these beings? They encounter them, but they explain them. How do they explain them? They're told. They're told by priests, by doctors, that it could be psychological. This is Uriel. There's 7 archangels. There's 4 which are known in the Bible. Uriel, Raphael, Michael, and Gabriel. Uriel is the one who actually tells about prophecies. He's prophetic. Gabriel, he's called the man of God. Now, where does all these notions come from, this hierarchy? The actual hierarchy, angelic hierarchy, comes from a 5th to 6th century bishop of Athens called Dionysius. Now, the reason why he came up with this hierarchy was he looked around himself and he said, hang on, as far as we're concerned, I'm a bishop, there's archbishops, there's priests, there's clergy, there's therefore, if there's a hierarchy in the mortal world, there must be a hierarchy in the heavenly world. But that's not to say that there are such things, you see, because you can't travel the two together. We're putting mortal frames on something we don't really have a complete understanding of. We just keep going. Right, so this is Uriel. Now, the concept of the battle in heaven, what was that all about? Why were there such things? Why throughout history are we always hearing from these that there's some sort of conflict going on? This is the angel Michael. What is he doing? He's throwing down Lucifer. Now he's striking at Lucifer. Again, it's a war. But what does the word Lucifer mean? Lucifer means bringer of light. Now, throughout our history, we have other deities. This is Raphael. Raphael was a healer, considered a healer. So Lucifer is the bringer of light. But he is cast out from heaven because of his pride, his so-called pride. Right, now, this is Michael. It's not a very clear picture, obviously, but that's because the icon is very many hundreds of years old. And what we've got is an association of so many things that, people are confused about. Now, I'm not here to try to confuse you. If I am confusing you, I apologise. But as Confucius would have you say, the idea is not to impose anyone's will on anyone else. Never impose on others what you would not choose for yourself. This is what Confucius said. So I'm just throwing out ideas here. Ideas. Now, we look at creation. Historically, when we look at creation, we look at man, and the Bible says man was made of dust. In Prometheus, in the Greek philosophy and history, it says man was made of clay. In Islam, man is made of clay. And the angels, what are the angels made of? Angels are made of light. And there's another entity, the Djinn. And what are the Djinn made of? The Djinn are made of fire. People turn to me and say, how can anything be made of light? That's not possible. And I say to them, well, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, photosynthesis, photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? It is making something from light. These are light. So, you see, that is possible. Let's just roll it along. That's it. So, we know that there is so much in creation, in the universe, that we find difficult to comprehend, to understand. So, if we have these beings, we have the beings, the Jinn made of fire, according to Islamic tradition. According to Genesis, we have man made of clay, and man made from the earth, that man is breathed life into. And we have the sons of God, who are sons of light. Again, is that because they are actually born from light, or because they are positive? They have a positive influence on you, a positive structure to your life. Whereas the demons, the Jinn, they have a negative influence. They're considered dark energy beings, dark energy forces. So, again, what is your concept? What do you feel? What's going on in your minds when you think of these beings? Are they beings to you? Is it psychological? Is the aspect there? How do you relate, if you do relate to such things? Because throughout history, people are often asking themselves, they have paranormal feelings and events within their own lives. So the question is, how do you relate to that? So, and here, again, we have the Jinn. The Jinn, what does the word Jinn mean? It means to be hidden from view. The Jinn are hidden from view. You'll never find the Jinn. Why? Because they're meant to come from a different parallel, a different universe to us, outside the being of our own reality. Again, we're back to what is reality. Here is Lucifer, the bringer of light. What happens with Lucifer? He's cast out. He's driven from heaven. So, and where does he go? He's driven from heaven to earth with his legions, with a third of heaven, the saying is. Who is this? This is Prometheus. What happens with Prometheus? Prometheus is a titan who fights against Zeus. Again, war in heaven. And what happened? Why was Prometheus driven out? Because Prometheus gave man, returned to man, fire, light. Here we have it again. Michael, he's casting out Lucifer. Again, what's going on in the ancient traditions? Whether it's the Far East, Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Assyria, whether it's ancient Greek culture, whether it's the biblical Hebrew talk. This is Enki. Who is Enki? The book of... Now, Enki comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh. And what does Enki do? Enki makes man. How does he make man? He makes man out of clay. Again, see the correlation. This is man. And what happens here? He's being given the fruit of knowledge by Eve. Now, how does this associate? Because what happens with Enki? Enki gives man knowledge and wisdom. How does Enki make man? Enki makes man out of clay and blood. This is Ishtar. Ishtar is another Babylonian, Assyrian god. Again, she tries to be the bride of Enki. Now why? Because they've made humanity, they wish to destroy the race of men, biblically or philosophically, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and they wish to replace that with a different type of being. Now, what does Enki do? Enki doesn't take that on. He decides that it's best to have the human race as it is. So this is another deity. Again, they're all winged deities. Historically, these are all winged deities. This one is called Pazuzu. Right now, okay, well, it's Pazuzu off, obviously. So this is man being driven from Eden. Now, if we could just pause that one. Now, what's happening here? As man is driven from Eden, there is a cherub, it says in the Bible, that stands at the gates of Eden with a fiery sword that swings one way, then the other. Now, is this allegorical? Or is this an interpretation of what they saw as something scientifically that was occurring? Was it a portal? Were they being driven from one plane of existence into another plane of existence? A fiery, swirling sword. If you saw a portal as a Stone Age man, how would you explain that to yourself? And so, again, they're driven out of Eden. What happens to man? He's driven out of Eden. Now, this is another god. Again, in the book of Genesis, talks about the sons of man the sons of God finding the women of men attractive and mating with them. Now, the Bible says this in Genesis 6. Who is this? Notice the wings. This is Perseus. Who is Perseus? He's the son of God. Now, the sons of God in the Bible, it says the sons of God find the women of men attractive and they mate with them. Hence, what have we got here? Again, is that it's all connected. It's the connection you're looking at. Perseus, who was Perseus, the son of Zeus. And what's he doing? He's killed the Gorgon, Medusa. Again, it's another war between gods. And the actual history is always occurring. It's repeating from Mesopotamia through to ancient Greece, through to antiquity, through the Roman religion, paganism. And here's another. This is Hercules. Who is Hercules? Hercules, again, is a son of God, son of Zeus. This is Hera. How do we explain these entities, these beings? We give them wings. Hera has wings. Again, what does an angel have? An angel has wings. So there's so much going on that's connected. Is this an angel? No. This is the goddess Nike. And what does the goddess Nike do? She traverses the battlefield and praises the victors of that battle. Again, and who sends her? Zeus. She's working on behalf of Zeus for ultimate victory. So again, we have these actions of, well, what are these angels? What are these demons? Now, according to Islamic tradition, these creatures would be Djinn. They would be considered demons. And in ancient Greek, the word daemon is referring to a spirit that is either benevolent or malevolent. So it's either one of the two. You see. And this again is Nike. Now, what does Socrates say? Just before he dies, Socrates says, the unexamined life is not worth living. That was Socrates' philosophy, to question everything, to understand everything. So, and it's really important when we look at objects like this, when we consider, right, what sort of things are going on here, we have to ask ourselves, right, what is the reality? What is reality? Now, as another example, if we could just pause this one. Right, now, we take a step forward. We take to go to Abraham. Now, what does Abraham's sitting in the desert one day, and he sees three people appear in front of him. And he rushes up to them and he says, my Lord, come and sit with me. You know, here, I'll give you water. Water is a very precious commodity. Now, he recognises them. He goes, how does he recognise them? It says in the Bible that there's a whirling dust of, you know, a haze, a covering. Is that another portal? Think back to Genesis when they see the whirling sword. It's very similar. So, are these beings coming out of some sort of portal onto our plane? These angels. And they turn to Abraham and they tell him about Sodom and Gomorrah and how he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? And now, actually, what happens with Sodom and Gomorrah? He doesn't destroy them. What happens is he sends angels. This is the first recorded history of protective angels to save certain people in Sodom and Gomorrah, because they go there to protect these people. And what are they doing? Right, now Sodom and Gomorrah are about to be destroyed. They know they're about to be destroyed. And Lot, as these angels are walking towards the city, Lot is sitting outside. He sees them and he rushes up to them. He recognises them immediately. And he calls them in. And what happens? When they're into Lot's house, suddenly there's a gathering outside, a gathering of people outside. And they're banging on the door. They're banging on it, they're saying, let us in. You've got people in there that we feel attracted to and wish to violate. That's what these entities are actually, that's what the crowd is saying. But the entities stand there, they hold up their hands, and they say, right, you shall not see. And the entities blind the people. Now is that mass hysteria? Are the people blinded through, is it the minds of these beings? What's going on? Something's going on. Are these beings just so powerful? They're powerful that they know the power of the mind far greater than we do. Or is it allegorical? Is it allegorical? Here we have a picture of Raphael. Who is Raphael? Raphael is the guardian angel. Now, when I was talking about Raphael, the book of Tobit, I spoke to a rabbi about this. And I said to him about angels, what do you think of angels and demons? And he said, well, in our religion, they're allegorical. It's the Malachi are messengers. The messengers are real, but they're not like supernatural beings. Anyone can be a messenger. A doctor saving someone can be a messenger because they're doing good works. I thought, well, that's interesting. I said to him, have you been to any exorcisms, or have you had to do an exorcism? And he told me, he said, well, actually I have. And he said that when I was in Jerusalem, in Israel, I was doing my learning my laws, or my religious laws, and the telephone rang. And he said, I wish I hadn't picked it up, but I did. He picked up the phone, and there was a woman there on the other end, and she was saying how there was the people next door to her had placed a curse on her and had affected her, and this curse had affected her. Things were moving around the house. So he went to his rabbi, his mentor, and he asked him, well, what do we do about this? And he said, well, firstly, you're going to have to go there, although we don't actually believe in this, you're going to have to go there because she certainly believes in this, and you're going to have to perform some sort of exorcism. So he goes along to the house, he says a few prayers, he turns to the woman, because the woman says that the tabernacle at the front of her door had turned upside down. Right? Now, on entering, he noticed that it hadn't, but she had thought it had. So he took her to the tabernacle at the front of the door and said, look, it's all right now. You're free. And the woman felt relieved. She felt concerned. What happened next door? The people next door to her were now concerned because they heard that the priest was given an exorcism and they thought that the spirit was going to be pushed next door. So is this mass hysteria? Is this belief? What's going on here? Now this is the book of Tobit. Now Tobit himself is blind. And what happens in the book of Tobit is Raphael the angel goes across with Tobias to meet a woman to get married. Who's the woman? The woman's called Sarah. What happens to Sarah? Why does Raphael have to intervene? Because Sarah is possessed by an entity. What entity? Asmodeus. That's the name of this entity. And what does Asmodeus do? Asmodeus has killed her 7 previous husbands. That's what he's done. Now, I tell you what, if I knew that the 7 previous husbands had died, I would not be going to marry that woman. But Tobias does. Tobias is convinced that that's correct, so he's gone across. And what does the Raphael do? He exorcises the spirit within Sarah. And what does he do? Then he chases down Asmodeus. Where does he chase Asmodeus down to? He chases him all the way to Egypt and binds him. He doesn't kill him, he binds him in Egypt. He binds him in Egypt. And so he actually prevents him from doing any further harm. And this is Raphael now. And Raphael goes back to Tobit, who was made blind, and cures him of his blindness. And who is this? This looks like a very upset Asmodeus. And it is. This is a depiction of what Asmodeus looks like. Again, this is our opinion, our views of what these demons look like. And obviously, we make it very easy to associate what evil looks like to what good looks like. But what does Shakespeare say? Shakespeare told us in Hamlet, the devil had the art to take a pleasing form. So, if ever there are these devilish beings, are they going to be so obviously devilish? No. But in people's minds, they simplify things. They simplify what these entities are. Who's this? This is Moloch. Who's Moloch? Moloch is another ancient god. What have Moloch and Asmodeus got in common? Well, Moloch, according to ancient Islamic tradition, according to ancient Islamic tradition, Moloch and Asmodeus travel to Jerusalem, where they meet someone by the name of Solomon. What Solomon wants him to do? He wants to build a temple. What does he do? He tricks Asmodeus, and this is again in the Old Testament, he tricks Asmodeus and Moloch into building the temple for him. Now, in Islamic tradition, it states that those that build the temple are different types of being. What type of being are they? They are the Djinn. Now, what's Moloch doing here? Moloch is the one who is given babies to be sacrificed for him in fire. In fire. What are the Djinn? The Djinn are beings of fire. Again, is there a correlation? What is going on in the story and the history of man? Where are we getting these stories from? Okay. And there's Moloch, and there's the priest, and he's handing Moloch, the baby, to be burnt as a sacrifice. Now, I put here, there are none so burdened as those that burden others. How many times in our lives do we find people and they're within them, they're being attacked, they're attacking others through their own inner demons, through what's going on, and a turmoil in their own lives. Now, yes, that is one of my quotes. Absolutely. Let's pause that. Right, and this comes from the social theory I wrote, which you can download, read for free at www.socialtheory.co.uk. Now, that's not just self-advertisement, that's self-grandizement. So anyway, let's move the story forward. Who's this? This is the Ifrit. Who are the Ifrit in Islamic tradition? The Ifrit are the Jinn. Again, according to Islamic tradition, the angels have never disobeyed God. So who have? Someone must have, otherwise there couldn't be this war in heaven. It's the Jinn. Keep going. Yeah. Now, here we have another image. Who is this? This is Iblis. Iblis is a Jinn. Notice that he has two heads, one at the top and one in his bottom, where he seems to be talking from. So again, what was Iblis's pride? Iblis's pride was that he would not bow down to man when told to do so by his God. By God. And why did Iblis do that? Again, it was pride. There's this conflict with pride again. Again, what makes people make errors in their life? Is it pride? Is it jealousy? Is it resentment? That's what the Jinn felt. That's what Iblis felt. Again, here we have another pictorial example of how people portray the Jinn. And how do when we view it, what do we see? It's clear, isn't it? It's obvious who are the bad guys and who are the good guys. But in reality, it's never that simple. In our different realities, it can't be that simple. We just hold this. Oh yeah. Now, what's this exactly, I hear you ask? Well, I actually interviewed someone who was from Iran and had a story to tell about a relative of his. And what did he say to me? He said, look, I know someone who was attacked by the Jinn. I said, what? How do you know he was attacked by the Jinn? He saw that he was attacked by the Jinn. I said, how can you be sure of that? He said, well, what they did to him was they used to pour water over him, over his head, and over his body. And this was a very physical attack. I said, how can that be? He said, it's true. I said, but how? He said, look, he saw that these beings attacked him. And I said to him, but you've already told me, how can he see this? He's blind. Like this. That's what he told me. He told me that the relative was blind. But in his mind, he could see them. They were clear to him. Or was it a different plane? he could clue in, his mind could see a different reality. And within that reality, he saw the Djinn attacking him. And what's this? This is a cave in the Middle East where the Djinn were said to be born from. Now again, the Djinn frequent dark places. The Djinn frequent cemeteries. So that's what the Islamic tradition suggests. So here we have a dark place, the largest cavern on the planet, no less. And that's where the Djinn reside. Now what did J.M. Barrie say? All the world is made of faith and trust and pixie dust. So really, it doesn't really matter what I've said today. What matters is what your interpretations, your reality, your faith system and your beliefs, I would not have changed today. I would not have influenced them today. You would have learned something, taken something away from you, and whatever that is, you'll think about it and you'll relate it to what you've already made your mind up on. So as I say, all the world is made of faith. And the last thing I want to do is alter anyone else's faith or belief. So this is me saying, so what am I saying now? David said, I'm saying, take these ideas, take them away, do whatever you want with them, come up with other ideas. I've written novels, I write poetry, I've written a philosophy, it's all down there. Now, I know that if I can do it, anyone can do it. But really, what are angels and demons? Is it really a battle between love on one side, love, compassion, tolerance and understanding, and hate and malevolence on the other side? You see? So that's the thing. It's whether or not you come up with something positive within yourself, whether you intend being an angel yourself, being positive yourself, or whether you intend sapping the energy from other people, drawing their own personal energy off them, being negative towards other people. And then you're behaving like one of these demons, you see. Thank you very much. I was going to end with a poem. Right? So, yeah, it's a question of, again, it's a question of faith, beliefs and things like this. The poem I was going to end up with was called Descending to the Pit. And it goes something like this. Now, if I forget some of it, then I'll just stop and, well, you'll have to check me out on YouTube, basically. So, it goes like this. So whence began this end of days, before life had such simple plays and people had forgiving ways, and no one turned to wish you ill, hoping you'll eat some toxic pill of destruction and despair? Is that what people truly share? So was there ever such a place where man wore a friendly face, and people had a sort of grace, and things were not really out of place? And now things are so reversed as man seems eternally cursed within cycles of pain and hurt. It seems that love's strangely inert. So when did things get so bad to make this world seem so sad that vulnerables are locked away? But it's not enough, I hear you say. So let's all prey on the weak, those with no words to speak. Burn them all at the stake. Dunk them in a freezing freezing lake, blast them all to the moon, seal them in a padded room, applauding all shameful actions, being glad for their distractions, and who cares about their lives? Self-harmers with blunted knives, nor how desperate people be, because that's not your reality. And if celebrities are divine, then this is the end of time. So when the earth does shake, people in their beds quake, others fight to set them free, tsunamis hurtle across the sea, some find naught to eat, fear seems to reign complete, each must make a stand, hold love's open hand. Or to you, is it callous and raw, something distasteful to ignore? Then I'd be right after all. Your poles are reversed and you're thinking small. Thank you and goodbye.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
To speak like, and I feel that I come with angels and demons, that like an angel could be like an enlightened being, like being human, that's completely good, and like a demon could be a very evil, negative being. Like,
Yeah, that's. I mean,
as opposed to like a whole, like,
there's
obviously like the wings, like the bat wings and the feathered wings, is obviously just a metaphor, like angels could be like completely divine, beautiful, like.
It's a question of, we're talking about, as you say, enlightenment, right? So, what do enlightened beings do? They wish to help other people grow, you see. And what do demons do? They let pride, jealousy, lust, all these negative emotions get in the way of other people's growth, you see. So, absolutely, any one of you could take on the mantle of an angel if you are giving to others spiritually. You see, if you are raising each other up. To do that, to gain something from each other, means you are making each other grow. You are being the messenger, the angelos, the malachim. You see?
One more quick thing. Do you know you say about when lots of angels went with Lucifer to hell?
Yeah, that's one
Was it
interpretation.
because sort of like they were just jealous because God loved humans more than angels, because angels are obviously clearly more like better than humans, aren't they? Maybe they're a little bit just like, look, you know, we're the nuts, do you know what I mean? And he's worshipping them stupid things. So was it more like a pride, jealousy thing with angels?
With Lucifer, it was the history of Lucifer. And remember, Lucifer, the idea of the word, Lucifer was loved above all other angels, right? Lucifer's sin, and I'm just grabbing at that word, Lucifer's sin was pride, right? What did he do? He was vainglorious. He loved himself more than anything else. You see, that was Lucifer's apparent sin. In Islamic tradition, it's not Lucifer, it's the shaitan. You see, it's Iblis. Iblis, who is Lord of the Jinn. And what does Iblis do? Iblis refuses to bow down to man. Why does he refuse? He says, I'm made of fire. Man is made of clay. How can man be better than me? Pride. Fire is stronger than clay. I'm practically immortal. Man's not even immortal. Pride. Jealousy. I have to bow down to man. So that was Iblis's problem. You see, Iblis's sin. So, okay. Yes, please.
If you follow the powers that be worship Moloch as both evil and right, then how are we going to beat them, being that we're enlightened, like good beings? How do we complete that evil? Because they are in a mindset, the Masons, the Illuminati, they're in a mindset that they worship the head of Bapha, John Baptist, whatever you want to call it. So how can we beat them if they're more powerful than we are?
Right.
Maybe outnumber them, but spiritually.
Light is only more powerful than darkness.
Right, so the thing is, it's what is the most powerful emotion anyone has got? Exactly. So, because love is the most powerful emotion anyone has got, how do you beat hate? You beat hate by being compassionate, tolerant, understanding. What have we got? What have we got that they haven't got? We are highly creative beings. If we wanted to discover a new source of energy to propel ourselves forward, we can do it. There is nothing beyond the human mind. The only thing that limits us is that we're told to be limited. We're taught to be limited. You see? And that is a psychological aspect that we have to overcome. And we can break those barriers down. And it doesn't matter who it is. Bohemian Grove. It could be Bohemian Grove. It could be any kind of, it could be someone that you believe you associate with at work. Could be the person that's trying to drag you down. Right? You have to step beyond that if you can. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of self-will, a lot of belief in yourself. But you can do it. You can rise above the hate, the malice, the malevolence, the callousness. We are thoughtful beings, and nothing is beyond us.
Well said, David.
Okay. Okay, so we're kind of running a little bit late. We're going to have a break now. We can get yourself some tea, the bar's open, food there, and we can come back with Neil on. It's meant to be 6 o'clock, but I think they'll make it. We'll do 1 hour, so it's 5:15 now. We'll come back at 6:15 instead of 6 o'clock. Everyone okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll review it because I take it.